So continuing where I left off with important, Satanists, okay, important people in the movement of modern Satanism, we come to Nicholas Schreck. Nicholas Schreck is an American singer, songwriter, musician, author, filmmaker, and tantric Buddhist religious teacher based in Berlin. He was born in the United States, blah, 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 blah. Now he's a solo artist. Schreck founded all about Radio Werewolf. Video Werewolf. Schreck's documentary. This is important because part of what Xena and Nicholas utilized to unify Satanism into a cohesive thing was Charles Manson. Okay, the teachings of Charles Manson and Atwa, air, trees, water, and animals. Okay. So he did a story of Charles Manson's life as well as interviewing him in San Quentin prison. He got footage of the Manson family ranch and other related topics, and also discussed where Manson's alleged ties to Nazi movements and to various satanic movements, none of which were actually true. Ironically, the only thing that Manson was tied to was Scientology through Criminon. So it wasn't even like Manson was a Scientologist per se. What it was is one of the orgs for Scientology is Criminon, where they reform criminals. And that influenced a lot of Manson's views, I think, too. But it doesn't mean that he was like an authentic Scientologist. But he was affiliated through Criminon. He wrote a book called The Manson File. Other works include Flowers from Hell, a Satanic Reader, was released in 2001. The book detailed the history of the use of Satan as a symbol, archetype, and deity in fiction across different cultures. The Satanic Screen, an illustrated guide to the devil in cinema. And Demons of the Flesh, the complete guide to left-hand path sex magic, released in 2002 with Xena Schreck, his wife. The Theory, History, and Practice of Erotic Sorcery and Worship of the Feminine in World Religion. Works featured in: Schreck was interviewed for the book Mythos Wewelsburg, Fakten und Legenden, about his relation to the Wewelsburg Castle. They held a... that wasn't him. I don't... what's his name? Michael Aquino, the founder of the Temple of Set, held a ritual in Wewelsburg Castle when he was in the obviously Aquino was an intelligence officer in the U.S. Army, as well as a member of the psychiatric war. He was the founder of the the head of the psychiatric warfare department for the U.S. Army. And while he was in Germany, Aquino, not Schreck, Aquino, held a ritual at Wewelsburg Castle, which was the spiritual headquarters of the SS. Moving on. Okay, I was amazed to find this out, and I was also amazed to find out he doesn't have his own Wikipedia page, just like, as far as I know, Michael Aquino doesn't have his own Wikipedia page. But Stanton Zaharoff LaVey, who's the son of Xena LaVey, passed away on December 19th, 2022. It seems to be from an accident from what I could find. So Stanton was a brilliant writer and intellectual genius and talented in the arts. Never was there a dull moment, blah, 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 blah. He had a doctorate in satanic theology that was presented to him by his grandfather and father figure, Anton LaVey, the author of the Satanic Bible and the creator of modern Satanism. What's important about Stanton Zaharoff LaVey is he approached Michael Aquino. Now, Michael Aquino, what he did, Michael Aquino, was he was approached by Stanton to rewrite the Satanic Bible. So when Michael Aquino rewrote the Satanic Bible, it was a Satanic Bible that was more in sync with later Satanic writings. Okay? I'm going to move forward here. Now, before I move forward, I don't think Aquino's writings were actually in sync with later Satanic writings. I think they were more in sync with Aquino's own philosophy of Satanism. But the first Satanic Church, which I believe that the first Satanic Church is by far the most authentic form of religious Satanism. Okay, the first Satanic Church is an organization founded by Carla LaVey on October 31st, 1999 in San Francisco, California. The church is dedicated to LaVeyan Satanism as codified by Anton LaVey in the Satanic Bible. The church's stated mission is to carry on the legacy of LaVey through the study of Satanism and the occult sciences. For over a decade, the church operated the 600 Club, a now defunct internet forum dedicated to the discussion of Satanism. So, new religious movement, classification, atheistic Satanism. As I said, LaVeyan Satanism is not actually atheistic if you read the Satanic Bible. If you read the part wanted God dead or alive, if you grasp where it's coming from, there is a theism to Satanism. It's a pantheism, but it's a nihilistic pantheism. It's not it's not pantheism like I'm a pantheist. It's a nihilistic pantheism. LaVeyan orientation, LaVeyan Satanism, scripture, the Satanic Bible, theology, autotheism, which means self-deification. Headquarters, San Francisco, California. Founder, Carla LaVey. October 31st, 1999. The church's website claims that the organization to have been founded in 1966, and I actually agree with her, because the Church of Satan has changed doctrine. And I know this from arguing with members of the Church of Satan on Twitter. Okay, they have become excessively liberal. They have become excessively politically motivated. They have become not the Church of Satan. They have more so become a competitor of the Satanic Temple instead of trying to authentically represent Satanism, which would be the best way to promote Satanism, in my view, which is Carla LaVey's way. Now, it might not be the most profitable, but it would be the best way and the most authentic way to move Satanism forward, is by authentically representing it, which is, I don't believe the Church of Satan does that anymore. I think that because they are competing with the Satanic Temple over who can be bigger limp-wristed liberals, I think that that's an issue. On Walpurgis Knot, April 30th, 1966, Anton LaVey founded the Satanic Church. And that's the original name, which he would later rename the Church of Satan. On October 29th, 1997, Anton LaVey died of pulmonary edema, yada, yada, yada. After LaVey's death, I've gone through this in a previous video. It's not important. You can read that. It's rehashing. Now, the oldest continuously running, legally defined organization that upholds religious Satanism is the Church of Satan, but they have changed doctrine. They have added doctrine such as the Satanic Scriptures, and the which was written by Gilmore, Peter Gilmore, that gentleman there, and they have also added like the Satanic Warlock. Now, I'm not necessarily against that, but this is, I mean, honestly, this is the longest running, continuously running satanic religious organization on earth. It is the Church of Satan, which was founded by Anton Xander LaVey on April 30th, 1966. Okay, and this is all authentic here. So it's the acceptance of man's true nature, that of a carnal beast living in a cosmos that is indifferent to our existence. As I said, a nihilistic pantheism. If you read the Satanic Bible, if you know what pantheism is, and you read the Satanic Bible, and you read "Want It God Dead or Alive," and you actually understand what you're reading, you will understand what I'm saying, that it is a nihilistic pantheism. It is not simply atheism. Satan is the symbol that best suits the nature of we who are carnal. They had to word it like that. We who are carnal by birth. Sounds like a dungeon master from Dungeons and Dragons writing this. People who feel no battles raging between our thoughts and feelings, we who do not embrace the concept of a soul imprisoned in a body, he represents pride, liberty, meaning Satan represents pride, liberty, and individualism, qualities often defined as evil, okay, by those who worship external deities. And that's the thing, in Satanism there is no worship of external deities. So when people are saying all this nonsense about human and animal sacrifice, you can't do that in Satanism because it doesn't match Satanism. There's no external deity. How would you do that? You can't do that. Now, Wicca and voodoo and things like that, yes, but not in authentic Satanism, because there's no outside deity to do that with, okay? So who feel that there is a war between their minds and emotions, blah, blah, blah. As Anton LaVey explained in his classic work, man using his brain invented all the gods, doing so because many of our species cannot accept or control their personal egos, feeling compelled to conjure up one or a multiplicity of characters who can act without hindrance or guilt upon whims and desires. All gods are thus externalized forms. I very much agree with this, except for what I would say, and I agree with the concept of God as the balance factor in nature, like LaVey says in the Satanic Bible. But it is true. For the most part, the Abrahamic God has been perverted from nature, from the universe, from the laws of nature, into an externalized form of everything naughty we're not allowed to do, as is every pagan deity, okay? Magnified projections of the true nature of the God's creators, which is man created God, not the other way around, okay? And I stand by that. Even though I am a pantheist, I would say nature proper, the one true God proper, is nature, but gods as in modern religion and pagan religion and even ancient religion, after you get past the very primitive religions, you will see that God is essentially the externalized hang-ups of man. Okay, I'm going to move on here. The Satanic Temple, I would say, is the least authentic satanic religious organization out there as far as religious Satanism goes. It's simply because they have altered so much of it, it doesn't even resemble the original Satanism. Now, you could say this is an evolving religion. Okay, well, all religions are evolving, but I would consider this at best hardcore satanic Protestantism. Okay, so it was founded by some guy, Lucian Greaves, the organization's spokesperson, blah, 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 blah. Satanic Temple does not believe in a supernatural Satan, although originally they did. It employs the literary Satan as a metaphor, so it's just like the Church of Satan. It's using the literary Satan as a metaphor to promote pragmatic skepticism, rational reciprocity, personal autonomy, and curiosity. Satanism is thus used. Now, I want to be clear on this. I think that the Satanic Temple is utterly ridiculous. I think that it is dangerous. But the one thing that I do like that the Satanic Temple does is they have, through their ridiculous stunts, they have forced public schools, they have forced public courthouses, and they have forced, and that's the thing, is I don't even know if the Satanic Temple is real Satanism or if they're just trolling society, to be quite honest. I really don't know. I'm liable to believe that they're trolls and they're trolling all of society, but what they have made possible is for people to understand that this republic is a secular republic without favoring any one religion over any other. And if you do favor one religion, you have to favor all religions. And it has really, really created a lot of hilarity. Now, the problem is, what I see this giving fuel to the Jesus freak conservatives. Okay, that's the problem I see with it, because you're going to cause the pendulum to swing back harder, in my opinion. I think it's a bad idea, but I do think it is very funny. And I do think in the short term it's positive. I think in the short term it's positive because it's making sure that people grasp the reality that if you respect one religion in the United States, you have to respect all religions or respect no religion. But what I find sad is they're not understanding, I don't see them protesting on behalf of Christians that have to make gay wedding cakes and things like that. There's a lot of hypocrisy. Okay, but that doesn't matter to me. I find it to be hilarious. I think they're trolls. I don't know otherwise. I think they're trolls. Okay, it considers marriage a religious sacrament that should be governed under the First Amendment's protection of religious liberty. I agree with that also. Now, what's funny is, like I said, abortion, Anton LaVey in the original Church of Satan, unlike the modern Church of Satan, was anti-abortion. In the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey states, how can a stupid woman that's never been able to make her decisions for herself before suddenly have the right to extinguish a life because it resides in her? You have to remember, first and foremost, the Church of Satan is about individual liberty. How can you have individual liberty without the right to be alive? It's about the history of the Satanic Temple. You can follow this. There's international followers, mission and observances. Okay, this is what I find wrong. Okay, compare this to the fundamental social Darwinian concepts of the Church of Satan. This is completely different. I would say what you could say this is, if you're going to say this is an authentic religion, this is hardcore satanic Protestantism. So the Satanic Temple has 7 fundamental tenets. 1 should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. 2, the struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. I don't necessarily, okay. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. I agree. There's not one of these that I've really disagreed with yet. Offend to, except for the one with one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. I don't necessarily agree with that, because if you support things like I do, if you support socialized medicine, well then no, because that becomes a public situation, and I don't believe that one should have the right to harm oneself necessarily, and that's where I get into a sticky situation with the Citizens Commission on Human Rights and things like that. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. I agree with that. I don't think the Satanic Temple upholds that, though. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. I fully agree. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. I agree. I do not think that this is what they're doing, though. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility and in action and thought, the spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice. I agree with these. I think these are good things, but I don't think that this is authentic Satanism. Campaigns and initiatives. The Satanic Temple Sober Faction is a peer support group that offers satanic approach to recovery or addiction. Meanwhile, they also promote drug use, so I don't know. There's members that promote drug use, so I don't know. Gray Faction. The Gray Faction is a project of the Satanic Temple with the goal of exposing malpractice and pseudoscience associated with satanic ritual abuse conspiracy theories. I'm loving that. Prayer in School. The organization first gained media attention in January 2013 after the group of Satanists assembled at the Florida Capitol to show their approval over a bill Governor Rick Scott signed into law the prior year, which allowed student-led prayer at school assemblies. The group further stated that as the bill did not specify a religion, and it can't, because what it is if the schools are receiving fundamental, or if the schools are receiving federal funding. Now, a state can actually say this religion or that religion. Okay, it will be challenged and the state will lose because federal law supersedes state law. But what you need to grasp is that no, if a school receives federal funding, it cannot deny anyone a right to practice their religion. Pink Pass in July, the Satanic Temple held a pink mass over the grave of blah blah blah. Westboro Baptist Church founder Fred Phelps. The mass was held after Westboro Baptist Church announced their intention to picket the funerals of victims of the Boston Marathon bombing, clearly blah blah blah. Now, this is what I think is ridiculous. The Church of Satan's standpoint on homosexuality is that people should be homosexual as long as everybody involved is a consenting adult. There's nothing wrong with homosexuality. I stand by that. As long as everybody involved is there of their own volition. And that's the thing. The Church of Satan was big at promoting indulgence over compulsion. And I don't think that this church goes enough into that about controlling compulsion. Okay? Now, I don't agree with this whole, look at me, I'm doing all these great things. I think it's hilarious, but I don't think it's great. The Black Mass, yada, 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 I don't think that's a great idea. The Baphomet statues, I think, are hilarious. Okay, I think that's hilarious. I think it's great. Protection of Children Project. It aims to offer First Amendment protection to support children who might be at risk of being subjected to mental or physical abuse in school by teachers and administrators through the use of solitary confinement restraints. I agree with this. I'm a victim of this. So I do agree with this. Planned Parenthood counter-protests. I don't agree with this. I think it's bad, and I think it's actually against the original concepts of Satanism. And this is the other thing. They're dressed in bondage fetish clothing, wearing baby masks and diapers while engaging in self-flagellation. Okay? Now, is this necessary? Is this necessary? I think it's hilarious, but is it really necessary? That they're dressed in bondage fetish clothing, wearing baby masks and diapers while engaging in self-flagellation. Muslim refugee action or activism. I don't agree with this. I do not agree with this, okay? Demonstration. I do believe that you need to uphold the rights of all people regardless of their religion. However, I think there's a slippery slope to when you're defending people that should not be defended. Demonstration in Junipero Serra. The temple's Los Angeles chapter has also protested the canonization of Junipero Serra by Pope Francis. They held a ceremony where they demonized the Christian missionary, stating they helped enslave thousands of Native Americans. Wah, 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 wah. What I'd like to say about this, the Native Americans, I really do encourage people to look up, what's his face? David Yeagley. The problem that I have with this is for thousands of years, before white people came to the continent of the Americas, the continents of the Americas, Native Americans slaughtered, raped, enslaved, tortured, and abused other Native Americans. When whites got here, Native Americans slaughtered, raped, abused, and tortured whites and blacks, okay? But it's somehow some horrible thing if white people try to civilize the Native Americans. Now, what people don't understand, in many instances, particularly in Central and South America, the Christians saved the Native Americans from the tyranny of the Aztec and Incan empires, particularly the Aztec Empire, which was particularly bloodthirsty. Okay? So when you look at everything in context, you'll see where I'm coming from. Pentagram ritual. The pentagram performed a pentagram ritual around, I don't know if that's like the Kabbalistic pentagram ritual, I don't know. After school Satan. Again, I find this to be hilarious. But my problem with it is I'm worried, as long as they're not putting people in drag and crap like that, which they probably are after their hobbabaloo with but as long as it's just Satanism, I find this to be absolutely great, hilarious, and it forces people to understand that there's more religions than the Abrahamic religions, and they need to be respected. Los Angeles Satanic Mass, holiday displays, blah, 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 blah. Scottsdale, Arizona Invocation Challenge, religious abortion. And this is, I disagree with this, religious abortion ritual. So what they're doing here by promoting religious abortion rituals is they're undoing all of the work that other religious Satanists have done by saying, no, child sacrifice is not part of Satanism. It's not, okay? But these people are then saying that there's religious abortion. Okay, well, that's child sacrifice. So now they're reversing course and making other people that might not adhere to their sect of Satanism look bad. Abortion and medical services. I can get down with the medical services. I can't get down with the abortion. SatanCon, Bladenberg Peace Cross Ceremony. Membership. Individuals dedicated to the tenets of the Satanic Temple can join the organization's website. Membership is subject to termination for failure to uphold the spirit of the Satanic Temple and its tenets. Now that, I think, is a great thing, because that's one of the problems with the Church of Satan is you get lifetime membership and they don't make sure that you're pulling the party line, if you know what I mean. Congregations. Comparison to LaVeyan Satanism, I don't think that it's ridiculous. So Lucian, the temple views itself as separate and distinct from its forerunner. Oh, it is. Greaves has said that the elements of social Darwinism and Nietzscheanism within LaVeyan Satanism are incongruent with game theory, I don't know what that is, reciprocal altruism, and cognitive science. I don't believe that they are incongruent with any of those things, but what the hell. He also criticized the LaVeyan Church of Satan for its lack of political lobbying. Excuse me, it's a church. If you're going to say that you're a religious organization, and actually, why would you politically lobby? Again, too much political lobbying is going to cause backlash from the Jesus freaks. So you're going to screw over Satanism in the long run by causing an aggressive counter push by Christians. And last time I checked, Christians far outnumber Satanists in this country. And I'm going to move on here. My next video, I'm going to talk about offshoots of Satanism. And number one is the Temple of Set, which I think is the most well-known, and about its founder, Michael Aquino. And that's all for this video.